Okay, this is a really great question. Charlotte would like to know more about blockers and what they are. So, the best way to think about it, the best way to start, is to think about how many different combinations of every single hand there can be. Now, this is not something that you want to be thinking about at the tables, but once you get a grasp of this, you'll be able to take it to the tables and it'll have a massive effect on your game. So, I'll explain what it is first, and then I'll explain how it has an effect. So here we are. These are the six combinations of aces that we can be dealt. Now, if, for example, we say that in our hand we have the ace of hearts and the nine of spades, let's say, for example, we know that we can cut down, we can start reducing some of these hands, okay, because they can't have the ace of hearts. So out goes this hand, okay, um, out goes this hand, and out goes this hand. Suddenly we've reduced the number of aces in our opponent's range to only 50% of what was there. We started off with six combinations. Okay, there are six combinations of pocket aces, but suddenly we're only left with three. Okay, so we can see how that's already had an effect. Now we can do exactly the same thing with ace king suited. We can see here there are four combinations of ace king suited. So we had the ace of hearts and nine of spades, so we can say, okay, it's only this combination, so we can get rid of that. So we've cut down the number of ace king suited hands by 25%. We've gone from four combos to three. Okay, so it's already having an effect on there as well. And then suddenly we can go and have a look at so we can see there are 12 combinations. Let me move this up a little bit. 12 combinations of ace king offsuit. And so we can go, right, okay, we have the ace of hearts again, so we look for all the ace of hearts. And we know it's impossible for our opponent to have those hands. So suddenly we go from 12 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So again, we've reduced that by 25%. Okay, so now that we know that once we have an ace in our hand, it makes it less likely for our opponent to have an ace. It reduces the number of aces by 50%, reduces the ace king suited by 25%, reduces ace king offsuit by 25%. What effect does that have on our game? How can we take this to the tables? Well, when you have an ace in your hand next time you're at the tables, you can already know that it's going to be less likely your opponent has a very strong hand. Obviously, we haven't looked at all of the possible ace X hands, ace queen, and ace jack, but you can see that by having an ace in your hand, it does have a massive effect on the number of ace X hands in your opponent's range, which means it's going to be difficult for them to continue when you apply pressure to them pre-flop. So, for example, let's say you're in a tournament and you know that a player is raising a lot from middle position and you're on the cutoff or the button. You can actually 3-bet with this sort of hand because you know how unlikely it is, or how less likely it is for them to have a strong enough hand to be able to 4-bet you. Obviously, there are things, we don't reduce the number of kings or queens in our opponent's range. So there are other factors. But we can see how this will have an effect and get your opponent to fold more often because they just don't have enough strong hands in their range to continue. Okay, so hopefully that's been useful. You can take that away and use this to your advantage at the tables next time. Okay, all right, cheers then. Bye.